Welcome to the Cynical Marketers Podcast, where the greatest minds in marketing, we think, discuss marketing for an audience of several. And now, your hosts, Mike and Nada. Welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Another episode of the Cynical Marketers. We're happy to have you here. We are growing slowly but surely, week by week. Thank you to people who have found us. If you found us and you're starting to listen, thank you so much. We always appreciate it. This week, we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and how it has invaded everything.
We're talking about what everybody else is talking about.
Yeah. You know, and you figure, right, like we're going to put this up somewhere and it's going to have, now with AI, like we have to add AI in, you know, you got to talk about AI. Are you guys talking about AI? You're marketers.
We have.
Are you talking about AI? You're not?
We have to.
You're behind.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not behind, but I think we do have some strong opinions, though. I do kind of strong opinions.
I get that way, and this is how I am. You know, the Cynical Marketers is mostly based on me being kind of a cynic.
That's fair, you guys. It's fair. He's not lying.
Mostly me being cynical, but, you know, I feel that way about anything that gets widely popular, especially if it's hugely popular on LinkedIn. And then you start seeing now agencies pop up, or there's people teaching courses. I get skeptical about stuff like that because it feels just like a fad. Now, I'm not saying AI is a fad, but there's
going to say we're going to get some hate comments for that one.
Yeah. You know, and I know we both use it for sure,
Yeah,
but
of course.
And I think I've done videos about this for on the marketing side for us, that I think it's a valuable tool.
Yeah.
And like any other tool, there's going to be people who are masters of using that tool, and there's going to be people who just know the basics. So
Very true.
I don't think it's going to wipe out jobs everywhere. You know, I'm a bit
tired of seeing that on LinkedIn, right? I am tired of the marketers. Are you scared for your job? You know, designers, copywriters, all of a sudden on the marketing side. No, we're not scared. We're not scared for our jobs. That's the short answer.
And OpenAI just in the last week or so released their new image generator. And then there were all the videos that flooded TikTok and Instagram saying, you know, ChatGPT just ended the careers of. And then it was just a hook.
Have you tried
and once you start seeing content creators doing hooks on things, you're like, I don't.
Yeah.
Legitimately, you know. And my thing has always been about it too. Nada, you and I, we work with smaller businesses and we work with people who are very busy in their business. And it's not like they have departments and teams of people to do lots of things.
Yeah, they absolutely don't. They're usually like a 1 or 2 people operation.
Yeah. So, and they're super busy doing the thing that they started their business for. So like they're going to now step aside to take time to learn this. No, for most of the folks we work with, they're like, hey, I see it. I get it. There's value there.
Right.
Don't you guys know it? Isn't that, isn't that what we pay you guys for?
So the image generator thing. So I don't know. So let's talk about how we use these tools, right? Like I have used ChatGPT for some time now. I've used it to generate. I work, again, for those folks listening, I work mostly in retention, email, SMS, push notifications, loyalty programs. So a lot of copy everywhere, right? So I have used ChatGPT for some time now for subject lines, pre-headers, SMS, messages, and I think it's done great. I'm skeptical about it helping for more robust AI campaigns, like asking it for copy for ads, asking it for copy for your website. I feel like depending on the business that you're in, I would expect it to give a lot of similar ideas. I've done some testing and I've asked ChatGPT about, what can I do for a marketing campaign like this? Or if I had a business, what would you recommend that I do? It often conflicts itself. So it will give me like one set of advice and then another set of advice like 10 minutes later. So I think there's some use to it from my perspective. There's obviously been like other AI tools in the retention space, like send time optimization, predictable purchases in Klaviyo, things like that, and I think it's good for those things, but I wouldn't trust it with like my entire retention strategy. How have you used it?
And I run ads for a couple of folks, and I have used it on the ad side for here's some of my thoughts. Do you have any other, or give me 5 different alternatives that you're thinking? And I use it kind of for idea generation and refinement. But you really, like you said, it'll spit back some craziness at you. And if you're not already familiar with what you're doing to market, to write an ad, do you know how to do copy? And I don't want to pretend like it's rocket science, but it's like any other job. There's a learning curve to it, and you spend some time in it. You kind of learn what works and what doesn't. I'm not saying you need to be a genius to be a marketer, but there are things that, like any other job, just takes a little bit of time to learn. And for most business owners, they just don't have that time to set aside to sit and learn this thing and then to test it. So I like it for, do you have some ideas? Here are some things I'm thinking about. I usually am asking it for, here is my copy. Give me 5 alternatives. Can you improve this? Without M dashes or emojis. And then it still does it. But, I still know what I'm looking for and I have an idea. And that's a misnomer about this artificial intelligence thing, right? It's not really intelligence. It's just a very, very, very fast internet scraper. It's a very fast Google. It doesn't learn anything. It's actually just going out and scraping and has a very large language model, they're LLMs, that it's taken from the internet. And that's where there's the danger, I think, of being overly reliant on something like this. And when you don't know, so if you're a business owner and you think, now I can fire agencies, I don't have to hire anyone, I'm just going to tell ChatGPT, hey, write me this email. That's when you're going to start running into all your competitors who don't want to pay anyone either. Your emails are going to sound the same. And maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter if everyone sounds the same. Because I think that's what the future looks like. When everyone talks about like the image generator tool, like, oh, everyone's going to have it. Okay, well then everyone's going to have it.
Right.
How do you stand apart? What are you going to do?
Personally haven't had a lot of luck with the image generator, because what I found, and I have seen people brag about it, I've gotten a few email newsletters showing before and afters of images of product, lifestyle images and such. I have tested this out, and after the first edit of the image, like I said, I need a email hero with a lifestyle image with the person wearing this particular item, write me the copy, here's the link I'm sending people to. Like, I gave it as much information as I could, and it generated a decent enough image to start with. I wanted to make some edits, and I gave it some edits to make, and then it didn't know what to do with that. And then what happened is, specifically to this product, it started removing the logo off the item. And it was saying like, you cannot display this logo, it violates copyright. And so I'm not sure. I've seen some people go like, oh, this is going to put designers out of business. And, there's a lot of talk on it on LinkedIn. It doesn't seem to work, is my experience in its current state. It doesn't seem to work to replace lifestyle photography in entirety, right? Or to replace product images, like an email hero that features a product. I don't think it will work in that capacity, because it never gives, the first design is never a great one. So I didn't have a good time with it too. Like, I don't know. I wasn't impressed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think this idea that it's going to replace creative folks, I don't believe that for a second.
I don't believe it either. And I think right now it all has a look to it too, right? Humans, we're pretty good at spotting AI. We see it already now in copy. Know when somebody is posting copy that they just straight up copied right out of ChatGPT, and now they're posting it on LinkedIn or somewhere. You see it.
Yeah.
I think humans are pretty good at spotting this. And on the image side, number one, I'm reasonably confident that they only trained the image generator from product photography images that I'm sure they didn't have permission from anyone to train their models with.
To what they did with the books, right?
Yeah, that's what they do. Because try to get it to make an image to do something that it doesn't have, like where you give it a product and say, do something with this. Try and make an image for a service-based business client of yours. Right. Tell it to make an ad for your accounting firm, see what it comes up with. But then it always has that AI look. And here's the thing that the big AI proponents don't seem to get. And I see this because I try to spend time with real people, and I don't exist only on LinkedIn. The regular people out there, regular folks, they're not big fans. They're not big fans of AI. They don't like it. They already don't like marketing to begin with, right? They think marketing is all about tricking people into buying things. And now you want to couple that with artificial intelligence, and you're going to tell people, hey, we're using this greatest technology ever invented by man so that we can come up with the subject lines that are going to trick you into opening more emails. Yeah. Regular people don't like the idea of it. Yeah. I just don't think it's going to have the impact people think. It's a great tool. Use it to assist you. Yes. But you still need to be good at marketing. Right. You still need to understand your audience. You still need to understand how to communicate with them. There's no tool that's going to do that for you and replace a lot of other things. I just don't believe it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think like we've seen a couple of notes of people just saying like, hey, this isn't a silver bullet, right? Like if you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a plan, this is just going to help you fail faster. Right? Like that's what I've seen those comments as well, because I think that's really the key. Like you just said, Mike, like you still need to know marketing. You still need to know your audience. You cannot give ChatGPT a report and tell it to spit out, like, what are my next steps here when it doesn't often know what it's looking at. I've done this for email marketing, and I would pull email statistics and dump them into ChatGPT and say, hey, what can you, based on these data points, analyze this for me and tell me what you would do? You need to increase your click rate. Well, duh. Like, okay, yeah. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. Like not even, So I think that you still have to know. You have to know these things. You cannot fully rely because, if it was up to ChatGPT, like you'd be sending emails every day, once a day, and that for most people that would never work. So it's just the strategies. It's like increase sends. I think there's definitely some good things to it from the retention standpoint. Like I mentioned, the send time optimization, some of the personalization things that we will be able to do, some dynamic content, changing copy pretty quickly. But overall, I mean, it's not an end all be all. Like you still need a human that knows what they're looking at.
I think I think pricing structures are coming, and this is based on things like Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. Some of the things that I've seen him say on Twitter since the image generation, him talking about servers melting down. And then if you know about OpenAI too, they lost $5 billion last year, and they had $3.8 billion in revenue, and they still lost $5 billion. So that means it costs about $9 billion a year to operate that company. And that was in January, that report I saw. That was before their power needs for this image generation. So I bet their costs have gone up even more. And then they just did another fundraising round where they have an option for up to $40 million. They're only getting $20 million right now. They have an option for another 20, but it has to turn into a for-profit model by the end of this year. So I think for them to, and here's the thing too, they have that super special tier, right? $200 a month.
Right.
Sam Altman, the CEO, said they lose money every month on that price plan. That is a money loser for them.
To increase prices.
They have to increase pricing or reduce users. They've got to do a mix of both because they can't keep running the way they're running. No one can lose $5 billion a year and keep going. They have venture capital backing. People want their money back and a profit.
Right.
So they're going to have to do something. I think it's probably going to be a very powerful tool that's going to be priced at enterprise level. And then for us schlubs out here in poor people land, you'll get like the free version of HubSpot.
Yeah. I mean, I think though, there's some, like I have said this from the beginning with some of the AI assisted image generation, especially when it comes to lifestyle imagery. Like I think in one of our previous episodes, I mentioned like everything's starting to look like a 97 Cosmo cover, right? Like over Photoshop to that. I do wonder when some of these images start, some of the lifestyle images are generated, you get into licensing issues. Right. So let's say you can have ChatGPT. Let's say everything is perfect and in a perfect world, it's going to create an entire marketing campaign for you. It will give you emails and ads and, your social media posts and all this imagery done for you. Who owns the license? Right? Especially if you're going to use AI lifestyle images, right? These generated AI folks that are, by the way, always based on, there's been a lot of debate on this. They're based on likenesses of actual influencers. Right. So
they have to do something. They trained
they have to train from something. So when you get into these issues of like photography and not just product photography, because, well, you own the products or you're using the tool to assist, but with lifestyle images, who actually owns these designs? Because when it comes to photography and lifestyle, if you're using it for commerce purposes and you're a brand that's relying on ChatGPT to generate lifestyle images for you and you're using those for profit, typically, if this was a photographer done thing, you would pay the photographer plus a licensing fee. And you would own that license for a set period of time. And then you'd have to, this is why folks do, multiple photo shoots, lifestyle shoots and stuff. Who pays for these things? There is no way that these AI companies are going to just let you use all these images for free. And I'm not talking about like paying membership fee. I think you're going to have to get into paying licensing and different commercial licensing for the use of these images. And then if you're one of these influencers whose image was used, who do you sue to get a part of the deal? Who do you go after? I think it's going to ethically become very problematic.
Yeah, we'll see.
And legally, I guess.
Court case I know that's working its way through the courts now on those book authors who had their stuff used.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here. I've said this too about AI and the EU. I believe the EU is not a very business friendly place. They don't like anything. Yeah. I think the EU is going to step in and start regulating things on AI.
Somebody has to.
There's not going to be this Wild West thing where you're going to be able to do whatever you want to. Right. The EU will do something, and then when they do, then everyone else will have to follow suit.
Yeah.
It's not going to be this Wild West. Still, my short take on this again is you still have to have an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah. Strategy first.
Just because you know how to use a hammer, and we all know how hammers work. I can't build a house with one, but some people can. Right? It's the same thing. Think of a programming language. There's people who are brilliant with Python or CSS. I can use CSS to change font colors.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot more you want to ask of me. I can probably change fonts. I can go into CSS and read, kind of have an idea of what's going on. You don't want me hard coding any pages, website pages or anything like that, right? But I get it. So that's the same thing with this tool here. I understand it, get it? Because somebody said this to me online in a comment a little while ago. They're like, if they're literate at all, they can use this tool. I'm like, well, yeah, of course they can use it, but how effectively can they use it?
I mean, like I said, I think there's some things dared to efficiency and personalization and, some of these predictive tools that can be used for ads and emails. I think at the end of the day, like you said, Mike, you need a strategy. You need somebody who knows what they're looking at. You can ask for ideas, but understand that your ideas are going to start sounding like everybody else's ideas. If you just use this tool blindly.
You're still going to win out in the end. Yeah. I think this is why, too, if you're a business owner, why you doing your own content right now and you getting out in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. You're a real human. I think people are going to start appreciating that here. Yeah. And my last thought about AI, this wonderfully awesome, powerful tool. The best use for humanity is to figure out awesome subject lines to open emails. Like we can't use this thing to cure cancer or do something actually useful for humanity. We're going to apply it to marketing. Really? That's the best use of this tool? Come on.
So we're not cynical at all here, guys. We're going to end on that note. I think that is a perfect note for us to end on.
There we go. That's our thoughts on AI, everybody. It's a good tool, but it's not going to do it for you. Sorry. That's what we think. All right. That's a good week. You got comments on that? Let us know. How awesome do you think it is? Tell us what you use it for.
Yeah,
Have you had luck with image generation? We'd love to hear from you. You can find us again, remember, on Spotify, on YouTube, and the Cynical Marketers website. Lots of places to tune in. And we'll be back again with another episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again this week. We appreciate it.